He is spawning for the last time tonight as Dragon Phoenix Gaming's own Cure. And this man down here is representing the Dragon. He is ZOUN for Alpha X. Having a nice little chat here. They were talking about some sort of 97 issue, which I gotta admit I have no idea what that is. But they're kind of just talking here, just a little bit of gamely banter. As I mean, ZOUN's now got the alarm bells ringing in his head with that proxy barracks. This is pretty much as aggressive as you can get. That first Reaper is going to be a really big nuisance here. Now, the probe does scout it. The Zealot will be out. But, I mean, a Reaper can run circles around that Zealot as long as he physically wants. And the Cybernetics Core, too, is a little bit away, so the Adept's not going to be there just yet. I like the positioning on that. Nice and chic. Joan said, Super Tournament, Terran 20, Protoss 4. That is hilarious. Oh no, Cure. Oh no. So Cure just lost that Reaper there. That is really not the best thing in the world for him. Back at home, he is just going to be going for the Widowmine to keep himself safe. The probe, I believe he got a scout off of that bunk of the Rax flying away there, so Cure will just send that home without getting that additional Reaper. He's not really going to have a ton here to defend, as that Widowmine at the top of the ramp will get about one shot off before it gets cleaned up. I gotta say, I'll give props to Cure. He is being very gutsy with his build order right now. Just really cutting every single corner that he can to get enough Widowmines out to go for a big drop here. And by big drop, I mean these guys. Just two of them. Now it looks like Cure might be going for something a little bit crazy here. He's going for the armory build. So with the armory build, basically what happens is that's going to shield these Widowmines from detection. The Observer's not going to be out for just a little bit of time, so they might have the opportunity to fire twice. And with this, usually you do want to see extended drop play. You know, you want to get about as much value out of this as possible. Now, ZOUN is paying attention, so he will be able to pull away. So, only 2 probes going down so far. But, yeah, those Widowmines are not going to be detected just yet. And as I say that, never mind. The Observer goes out. I forgot how fast those build. So, a bit of a janky opening here for Cure. You know, he's not really producing too much. And he will only start to get stim out now. And one Hellion just going to get a little bit of a scout around as ZOUN going up to 3 bases. He's got Blink just about to finish, so he will be safe against any sort of follow-up attack. And yeah, I think Cure from here is just going to turtle up a little bit, build up his army, and go for a timing push. So now the Stalkers are going to be inching their way across the map. I doubt that they will go too far. They might just stay at the top of the ramp and, you know, just exhume a little bit of prescience here. Yeah, taking one big shot. That's about all you want to take is one shot. Takes a second, though. Now he's just going to go for a bit of a soft contain. Does it... You know what? When I see something like this... I think it's kind of funny. It's like when you have like a 5-year-old and they punch you, so you pretend to be hurt to kind of build up their confidence a little bit. That's what I see when I see these 5 Stalkers versus this kind of army. They will be able to get in there, taking 2 big volleys. The Marauders as well, going to get one before the recall. He will blink out, but he did lose a Stalker there. And now the transition. He's got the Colossus in the backfield. He will have those +1 attack upgrades at roughly the same time. And so, you know, I don't think that Cure will be able to get a ton done with this. Let's just keep an eye on it, though. Because this is still a very scary Terran army. He's got those Widow Mines in the front as well, so any sort of Zealot will get decimated from that. A very aggressive push forward there by the Stalkers, looking for some pickoffs wherever he can find them. The Raven starting this fight outright, making sure that one of those Colossi can't do damage, but the other one is putting in some overtime. The AoE helping out immensely here, but Cure has established himself in this position. And this is going to be very difficult for ZOUN to dislodge. Yeah, you can kind of see here that ZOUN, even though he will clean this up, a lot of that army is still alive, just stimming backwards, trading out with the gateway units of ZOUN. And even to clean that up, that was a very costly engagement. The reinforcements now making it even costlier, as the Colossus having to be forced back or risk getting killed. Looks like Cure might have overstepped himself a little bit. I don't think ZOUN has enough to kind of push in here, but it looks like he's gonna try. Cure, the biggest problem for him is he still doesn't have that third base up during all of that. Only just now trying to establish it. Looks like the Stalkers getting caught between a rock and a hard place. So a lot of those will go down, but it doesn't even matter, you know. Down here in the bottom left of Oxide. Give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And his opponent up here in the top, representing Alpha X, he is ZOUN. And so Cure went a little bit crazy in the last game. This time, it's going to be a little bit more standard, you know. After a cheese, especially when you cheese that early, you kind of... I don't want to say bork yourself for the rest of the series, but you kind of just mean that your opponent is now going to be on extremely high alert. So if you have any additional mind games to come out, you know, it's not really going to work, not really going to be as effective as it could be, especially after it got pretty much trounced there so early on. Now, you know, nothing really too much going on here. This is kind of the problem with the early game, you know, especially as a solo caster. You're like, okay, I got to find something to talk about. But, yeah, we got the cybernetics core coming down after that. I think on a map like this, it does kind of favor a bit more of a ground-based army. Like, yeah, we're getting that warp gate nice and early. I would love to see the Twilight Council following it up, but with the Adept, it might be Stargate. Kind of depends on what the next unit is. Because when you see that that Adept, it means that you have a little bit of additional gas on the way, and that does make it a little bit easier to kind of get your tech up. Yeah, there you go. Twilight Council. For once I was right about that. Oh, yeah. I mean, every build is strange on this map. And, yes, this is the last match, KYY 1878. But now we got to keep an eye out now, because Blink is on the way. But if we don't see a fourth gateway come down, then it's pretty much just going to be a defensive Blink opening. Which I think does a pretty good job of countering what Cure is going for here. Cure obviously going for the 3 racks. And, yeah, Blink just keeps you really safe versus that, because with those Stalkers, you can be out on the map, you can get some nice pickoffs, and you can kind of just slow down the push enough to transition in and get out a nice defensive force back at home with the shield batteries. Now, Joan also going to be going up to that third base here with the robo facility coming in. Being very conservative with his Stalker positioning here. He might still be thinking that there is some sort of drop going to be coming in from this. Actually, yeah, let me see real quick before this attack comes in. He didn't see those additional racks, but now he pretty much knows that that's the case. A really funny little KD-8 grenade there. Going to kill off that Adept. The Reaper going to be coming in here, finishing up with a little bit of a scout. Oh, but this Nexus, I doubt this comes up. Stimpack is now complete, but you have to be very conservative about how you use it, as there are no medevacs. The factory isn't even done yet. So just going to go for the safe damage. Gets a cancel on that third base. Going to get a couple of additional Stalkers. I think from here, Cure could just back off. You know, he doesn't have to overcommit here necessarily. And yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to just start the walk home. Maybe going to meet up with the medevac somewhere along the way. So, Joan did get slowed down there. He's got to remake that Nexi. It does take away some of that income that he wanted to use for the charge. Taking a look at that fight. Got a couple of those Stalkers for about 7 Marines. And, you know, this doesn't really mean too much because those Marines are only mineral units, so you're not really losing any gas. And now Joan has a small soft contain, just until those medevacs come out. So if you want to move out, you're going to lose a couple of units before you do so. Looks like he lost a supply depot. That's pretty good little bits of damage. Now just gearing up with the Observer as well, getting ready. Inching his way back as Cure searching for these units. Scan going down, revealing it. Does he get it? It's close, but he did have a cigar. Now, once again, Kier going to be moving across. This time, he does have that medevac support, so the Stalkers are going to be even more important. You have to keep those alive. Because he doesn't really have too many Zealots on the side of the map yet. He doesn't really have a lot of support for those Colossi. The sentries are nice, but that energy will run out very, very quickly. Trust me. And so he's just got to buy time here. That's the name of the game. Couple of quick pickoffs there. Gonna get one of those medevacs, which is very important not to lose. You know, at this point, you're wanting to start transitioning into some heavy tier gas units like siege tanks, like ghosts, like Vikings, if you so desire. So keeping the medevacs alive is essential. It's very crucial. Small little zealot run by here. Another warp in the main base. The prison is just going to pick those up and get on out of dodge. Gets cleaned up on this side. No real dice on that one. But you know what? ZOUN is perfectly alright. He is perfectly happy with where he's sitting in this game. He has a pretty nice map control down here in the center of the map. And now he can just kind of start pulling Cure around a little bit with these small little harassments. But Cure finding the War Prism, though, never mind on that. As looks like the armies are going to be passing like 2 ships in the night. Oh, no. This is not going to be good. ZOUN gets on top of the base first, though, so we're in a slight base race situation as Cure just decided to go for it. 24 workers going down just like that. Oh, the Disruptors, do they get out in time? One of them does, but on the wrong side of the tracks. The second one does get in. Cure paying attention to the last second, but still takes a huge hit there. And now Cure is wedged between this army. The Colossus battling their way forward. Force Field's going to divvy this one up. And while Cure has to pick up and get out of there, he does save a good chunk of his army, which is great because he does have the reinforcements. He still has the army supply advantage. But now he has lost that forward momentum. He's got to go home for a second, regroup, rebuild up. I don't really want to see him try and go for the 1-2 punch because that is the easiest way to kind of lose out here, especially if you're going for like this Doom Drop kind of style. Because look at that. You got the Stalkers in position. You've got enough Colossi on both sides. No Storm, though. That is one little criticism I have to give to ZOUN's way. If he had Storm, he would be feeling so much better. Yeah, exactly, Arto Doc. All the Colossi are still alive. They are pretty much the key unit here for ZOUN, especially as he's transitioning into Disruptors. Having one is fantastic, but having both Well, that's like winning the lottery and already having the trophy wife. Or trophy husband. We don't judge here. Now, the scan going to go down. It doesn't see the whole army, but you can kind of guess that, yeah, it is here. First Colossus shot is pretty good. Dodges one disruptor shot. Sorry. But the second one is pretty good. Now, the third one goes off, not really getting too much. The Archon in the front getting wailed on by the EMP at the Zealot flank. Doing what he can, but now Cure is established in this position with the siege tanks in the back. ZOUN cut away from his third base. There you go, Cynical. But here we go. The Colossus taking some big shots from those siege tanks. And unfortunately, the focus fire is not that good. I think Cure has broken ZOUN here. All of these high-tier, expensive units are going down. And as I say that, looks like he will be able to clean up that side, but there is still this army to deal with. Yeah, this is just so much damage. As he loses those last little bits, GG is called. With this guy down here in the bottom right corner, give it up for Cure. And his opponent up here in the top, he is ZOUN. Siberia good for watching SC2, but not for all other. Siberia, my man. I think that's the furthest we've had for fans. You know, we got fans all over the world. But I think you're the first I've heard of from Siberia. Welcome, welcome. And welcome to everyone else. Check out the Matcherino page and get ready because we still have that giveaway for Group A and Group B. Best chance is to get the full predictions in on the Team Liquid page. But ZOUN just going to be a little bit of a nuisance here, delaying that CC for as long as possible, while getting his own natural up at a nice time. Behind this, it looks like Cure is just going to say, okay, I'm going to go standard. I'm not going to do anything crazy like a 3-racks, because funnily enough, even though it doesn't really seem like it, Lightshade is one of the shortest rush distances in the pool. It takes about 33 seconds to get to your opponent's natural. And you guys know what you can do in 33 seconds. Other than like, favorite, and subscribe, you can do quite a bit. Or not a bit. I gotta say, I'm thinking that this might be Dark Shrine here, just based off the positioning of that probe. We should see if he decides to throw down a pylon. Some good, fancy SCV micro. I'm gonna keep those ones alive. The probe's still kind of hanging out here. The 4 warp gate push, it exists. But, you know, when you're talking about the highest level, it's just a little bit easier to kind of go for blink, go up to 3 gate, and then transition. Using the early stalkers that you build just to essentially slow down any sort of push from your opponent. Because the big thing is, if you lose your initial aggression with that warp gate, 4 warp gate push, you're just super far behind because you've invested so much into it. So now we just kind of see the Stalker count rising. He's being very conservative with his placement here in Cure's side of things. Just going to get that Raven just in case. It's always a good idea to get at least one for most matchups because you do have a lot of utility with it. It can shut down Colossus. It can shut down Warp Prisms. So yeah, it's just a nice little thing to have. Now the Widow Mines did come in. They're not really doing anything so far, but now Jotun's a little bit distracted. He does get the pull away though. Will that Widow Mine get the fire? No. Just no, as this other one is running for his life. So now we see Jotun up a base. We don't see the third going down from Cure just yet, but that's to be expected. You do stay on two bases a little bit longer as the Terran player. And that medevac kind of just hanging around. That's not really going to be an issue in this game for Jotun. He's already gotten everything inside it. And now we're kind of just powering up. Jotun has that full map control. With these Stalkers, he's going to be able to put on a little bit of light pressure. And from there, he's going to tech up. This time, he's going to be going for Charge Shot, Archon, with Storm. See, there's that little bit of a utility I was talking about with that Raven. Coming in, as soon as Jotun goes back to work, a fourth worker goes down, maybe even five. There you go. And that is delaying a lot of mining time for Jotun, who is up only about 2 workers here, even though he is up a base. That might not seem like the biggest deals, but you can kind of see. It's starting to add up since those mule drops add so much to that count. So now Kira going to be moving out as he gets his third base down. So this isn't necessarily an all-in, but it has the potential to do quite a bit of work. Unfortunately for him, the biggest problem with it is that it was been scouted a long time in the future. So Jotun has a lot of time to kind of prepare for it. The shield batter's already down. He's adding on a couple of additional Archons. We don't see Storm just yet, which I think would be absolutely beautiful versus this very heavy Marine-based army. But now Kira kind of senses that something is up since he didn't see any Colossi. So he's just going to add on the Ghost Academy here. Not going to get any additional Vikings. Not going to get any air army to speak of. And yeah, Kira's just not going to move out anymore. He decided, okay, I've been scouted. I'm not going to throw these units away willy-nilly. I can still get my third base up. I can still kind of get up to that 3-base war machine army that is really good for Terran, and just kind of go from there. He did get Storm. Beautiful. A couple of them going down. Good pull by Cure. He's going to lose 6 workers still. Pulls back in a little bit too early, and 10 is the total, the magic number. All 3 High Templar get out of there as well. That was absolutely fantastic for Jotun.
Your probes are under attack.
Yeah, okay. Decides, okay, I'll give you a little bit of a extra attack there. He's not even going to pull his probes away from this. The auto turret not really going to be able to get too much done. It was in range of the shield battery for that second one. And now it's kind of just stuck there until it revives some energy. Here we go. Cure just slightly ahead in terms of that army count here. I feel like he doesn't really want to fight into a concave. A huge storm going down, crushing through a lot of these Marines. He's going to have to slow down and like heal up before he moves any further. And now the ghosts are going to take the front of it. We got a little bit of a pause here. Yeah, at this stage, Cure is getting ready. For this big push. His entire army is there, and here we go. The High Templar do drop one storm. Gets off a lot of energy. Mouse issue by Joan. Thank you. Now with the disruptors in play, it's going to be very difficult for Cure to make his way in here. We do have a small zealot run by in the backfield as well, pulling away some of Cure's attention, I'd imagine. But he is able to clean that up. But now, losing some of those medevacs, he's going to have to retreat. He just can't really engage into that anymore. There's just way too much risk in doing so. Granted, he's still going to be out on the map. He's still going to, you know, put a little bit of pressure on Joan. He still wants to trade out just a little bit. That's not how you do it, though. So many Marines going down with that one. That's a lot of DPS. Just nowhere near it anymore. So now with that big old transition here, we see Cure getting his +2 upgrades very, very late, as Joan is already up to +3 on the way. He will have his +2 armor much, much quicker as well. So these units for Cure are just going to pretty much be tickle cannons almost for these high tier units. And on top of that, we got the win ahead, go ahead Dark Shrine. You know, I just don't know, honestly. Joan has so many different advantages going for him. I think Cure just a little bit slow to react here. He got that first counter. Great. You know, the only thing Joan killed there was his own unit. But now he's not really reacting to the follow-up here from Joan, the Colossi. The disruptors, he doesn't really have any good counters to those. And Joan going to be coming in here, gets a pretty good engagement on that one. A beautiful concave on the ramp, going to mitigate a lot of that Colossus damage though. So Joan is going to be forced back, but he does lose the third base for now. I gotta say, this one is very, very scrappy. I'm very hesitant to say either side is super ahead, as these guys are still equal in terms of that battle report. Just look at that. Within 125 minerals of each other. I guess if I gotta say anything here for Joan, he's the one who's still being aggressive, so I guess that's his best advantage, is that he is still the one on top of his opponent's economy, and that's what's propelling him forward. Now, will the Stalkers be able to get this? He will be able to do so. Blinks away from the Widow Mine. The SCV is being pulled to kind of mitigate some of that surface area from the Zealots, but now as the reinforcements wrapping around for Joan, Cure is starting to plummet in terms of that supply. So is Joan. And honestly, I think Cure just has barely enough to clean this up. But what is the follow-up here for him? His economy, gutted. His production, just Marine and Marauder. That's all he can really afford to make. If he wants to win it, he probably wants to do it very, very soon before ZOUN rebuilds those high-tier units. But that doesn't really leave a lot of room for him. And the clock is ticking because +3 is done. So when those Colossus come out, when those Disruptors start their volleys, they're going to be that much more powerful. He recalls onto the Nexus. That was a bit of an interesting choice, to be honest. He could have just walked. Yeah, the Stalkers, whoops. Just not really good on their own. They will get a couple of good pickoffs, though. It looks like he's gearing up to defend what he thinks is a double prong here, but Cure will get the base. Cure pretty much all in at this point. Like, that is the biggest problem for him. Will go for a big Doom drop here, and there is no recall available. He already used it on those Stalkers. That is ZOUN's biggest mistake right now. And Cure is up to that 5th base. So he is recovering the economy, taking out a lot of ZOUN's tech. He lost the DT Shrine. Now getting cleaned up. Oh my goodness, so many medevacs going down. Yeah, shield battery being popped right there might have been a little bit of a mistake. This attack coming down to the top. The Disruptor is going to be enough to shoo that away for now, as the Zealots looking to do what they can. They get cleaned up. The main is lifted over. So that is good for him. Cure's still ahead in terms of that supply. You can kind of see where these big fights are happening. ZOUN taking a bit of a brunt of the damage right there. But he still has these high-tier units. Question is, does he have enough of them? I don't think so, honestly. He doesn't really have a buffer for them either. And while he does clean that section up, it comes at the cost of his entire army. Gonna lose 1 Colossus, 2 Colossus. And now Cure ahead in terms of that army supply. It's not looking the best for ZOUN. Yeah, I think at this point, ZOUN kind of knows that he has to stay across the map. He has to keep the pressure up. He cannot afford to let Cure go onto his side of the map at any point right now. He's just got to be given time to rebuild these very chunky, very expensive units. Both sides are pretty damn well broke. You gotta say. And so these EMPs just making it so much more deadly for ZOUN. Cure as well does have the supply necessary to kind of rotate around with many of his units. You know, divvying up his army in a really nice way. It's like a couple of probes going down somewhere. But now we come into this little bit of a lull. Nothing really too much else to say for Cure. You know, he's rotating around. He's got his army divvied up. For ZOUN, he's back into a defensive stance. But he has rebuilt his army. Like, he's got the Disruptors, he got the Archon, he's got the Colossi. He doesn't really have a lot down here, but he does have the Storm, which blankets it, but the Marauders just soaking up everything here. One big thing to note as well is that there is still no +3 upgrades for Cure. They are about a minute or so out. And as he's getting pushed back on this side, the army up here being very, very not movie. Oh no, a huge Disruptor ball right there, cleaning up this side of it. But it's going to cost him an Archon. And even though, you know, he pushes his way just a little bit closer, at the end of the day, he just doesn't really have enough to push into these bases. Like, I don't want to say he's dead. I don't want to say this game is over. But ZOUN is certainly playing from behind in this situation. Little game of chicken, honestly. Like, who's going to be the one to blink first? Looks like Cure's going to be the one who finds an opened base. We'll get a pretty quick snipe as ZOUN was a little bit busy trying to open up his attack paths. But now with the Medivacs, he will be able to get on out of there. The Stalkers need to focus fire some of those down. They get a non-full one. And I mean, from here, yeah, ZOUN was in a good spot. You know what? I don't disagree with that. He was in a great spot for a lot of the game, but, you know, he just gave way too much room for Cure to get back into it. And now Cure completely maxed out. He's going to start building up that bank quite heavily. Look at that. Even adding on the fusion core here and those additional orbitals. Just going to make it difficult for ZOUN to really kill him anymore. Now the upgrades have equalized as well. It is just +3 for both sides. ZOUN is still not maxed out, by the way. Like, just look at this. He has the army supply advantage, which is great, but he's still not fully maxed out. He will get a kill on the base up here and another kill up here. 19 SEVs going down because Cure was not in position to deal with that. But any SEV you kill now, it's not really going to matter. He's relying on mules for his economy, and he's going to be adding on those Liberators. Another big fight coming on in the Disruptor. It's all right. It's not really the best, and he's going to sacrifice all of his Disruptors to get it. That one was pretty good. And that will force Cure back, but I think the production tab tells the whole story. As look at everything Cure is able to afford, and look what ZOUN is able to afford. The answer is not a lot. We are almost 25 minutes into this game. With honestly neither side having a real clear-cut, I'm going to win in the next minute or so advantage. Gets another cancel on the base down there. Almost loses that High Templar. Some very quick thinking with the Warp Prism. 5 more SCVs going down, but again, he doesn't really care. He just needs a token force of the SCVs. He's gonna want to replace those with mules. How many orbitals does he have as well? He is up to 5 of them. That is a lot of energy. A nice big storm going to go down there, but it whiffs. Most of this army was not in position for to take the brunt of it. A very aggressive blink forward right there. And I mean, ZOUN is trying to rotate around. He's got these 2 armies divvied on up. But now Cure has these beautiful defensive positions. That's just going to make it a little bit harder here. And I know I kind of sound like I'm favoring Cure heavily. I do think ZOUN still has a couple of paths to victory. But as time goes on, that path to victory is just getting lower and lower and lower. You can kind of see ZOUN is a little bit broke. Cure doesn't have a ton to his name either, but he does have these kind of set and forget units which are going to be able to get some amazing trades. As we do see ZOUN going to be gearing up for one side while trying to bait the army around with this smaller army. Storm's going to go down. 1 EMP does not hit all of the High Templar, but here we go. The big engagement, the game-ending one. ZOUN getting surrounded from all sides, trying to fight inside those liberation zones. He going for the recall, but that is going to be it right there. He might not tap out just yet, but below 100 supply. It's pretty much all but the kitchen sink thrown at him. I think the biggest problem was, unlike earlier, he was not aggressive with his harassment at all. As the Disruptor is going to be coming in, getting some okay connections. Not really enough to turn the tides of the game. GG is called. And honestly, I'm going to be as hyped as I possibly can for this one after such a long game. You got to be thinking in these players' minds, okay, I am sure not doing that again. The problem is they might not really have the choice here, as 2000 Atmosphere is a much larger map. Their attack angles are a bit exposed though. Kind of taking a look at some of these positionings, you have one very similar to Oxide right here on the potential 4th base, or potential 3rd base location. I want to say the safer 3rd base location. And so we might be seeing that really come into play. Cure trying to hit that timing that he was trying to go for in the last game. Because remember, he was out on the map. He had the siege tanks ready and raring to go. He just had to pull back because he was scouted for a long, long time. So if he can kind of hit that timing this time, then he's going to be feeling pretty good. Now, what is ZOUN going to be going for? I'm going to say it's Twilight Council again. You know, he's been favoring that versus Terran, and there's no real point in Stargate on this map. There's just not really a lot of area where he can play around in. You've got right here, you've got right here, but that is literally done. One second, guys. So, yep. DTs. And that's kind of the thing, you know, they don't want that. They don't want a game like last one. They want to make this short, sweet, and to the point. He's going to risk it all with the with this one. And the best thing for him is the fact that there's not going to be a Raven out on the map because Cure is setting up for that Widow Mine drop. Or if there is going to be a Raven, it's going to be delayed. That Dark Shrine does take a while to build, though. So, that's kind of the saving grace here. War Prism is done. Now we're kind of just getting that little bit of anticipation before the calm, before the storm. Oh my goodness, is Joan gonna see this? The Stalkers are coming back in. I think he has seen this. Yeah, he selects the workers and he picks them all away. Oh, he didn't get the third Widow Mine though. And this is denying so much mining. You know, Joan wasn't mining for the longest time. And now keeping those alive means that he will be able to bring them back in. The Raven just pops at the very last second, and now the DTs are gonna have to be picked up and get away. A scan having to be used for the last one here, but the wall is complete, meaning that DT does not get in. So Cure like a brick wall right now, only losing 3 SCVs to the 3 probes killed. That's a little bit of a later third. Nexus finishing here. And yeah, from here, you're not going to be able to get in with these DTs anymore. You're going to have to just morph those into an Archon or two. Maybe get a couple of additional. As the What Am I going to come in, gets 2 additional ones per. But yeah. There's a Viking. There's a cancel there. Recall is used. He's gonna have. There you go. So while that didn't necessarily kill Cure, it did slow. It did slow ZOUN down a little bit. Man, I looked at Google Translate for a second there. Are you guys talking about murder cases? That is very, very interesting. So yeah, now Joan invested so much into that. He's getting a nice splash off with those Archons, but now he does need to bring those back and recharge those shields. I don't think this push is going to kill Joan, but you know, he's going to use that rock wall I was talking about. And using the Raven as well for the vision. This is going to be a little bit difficult to dislodge, especially if Cure reinforces this spot. Stim, combat shields, +1 armor on the way as well. So as time goes on, you know, it just gets a little bit more powerful. But if he doesn't pull the trigger, if he doesn't go in, then Joan is just going to steamroll it. And honestly, I think he's going to steamroll it anyway. That's 3 Archons here. Oh, yes. All right, this is perfect because Joan's entire army is over here defending what he thinks is the full brunt of Cure's base. Or attack, rather. And as he dives on this one, the Doom Drop makes its way in. It gets a couple of very quick kills here on those pylons, denying any additional warp ends. The Zealots going to do what they can, but it looks like Joan didn't even have enough on this side to defend. So while he does clean up the main base, oh my god, he's going to lose. He's going to lose his third almost. Yeah, he's going to at least lose all of these probes. This is almost the end of it here for ZOUN. Down below 80 supply. Holy cow. And even just getting a little bit of additional damage right there, trading out some of those stalkers, keeping the threat alive of those medevacs, because they are going to head home, and now Cure can bring his army together and continuously parade push across the map. ZOUN knows the situation that he's in. He knows that he's got to get something done, but can he? Can he really? I mean, he is going to get around with the War Prism, so that's going to take a little bit of Cure's attention away. And remember, guys, like, both of these guys are going to be seen tomorrow in the finals. But this is pretty much for seeding. You know, and Cure is... You know what? I agree with that. Cure just looks super duper strong. You know, sometimes he comes out, he'll beat some really good players, but then kind of stop when he does. But then the other times, like when he's in King of Battles, when he's at IEM, he just looks absolutely unbeatable. And now ZOUN coming in for one last ditch effort. This is going to pull Cure back home, but he's just going to recall. And Cure is just giving him so much time. If ZOUN gets a couple of disruptor shots, then he could be getting back into it, but... Oh my gosh, that's a big if. Cure not paying attention. So many going down, but at the end of the day, that was his last shot. He's got one more disruptor, I think, hanging out somewhere. But nothing more than a glancing blow as the Archons start to fall. Even though he's going to push this back for the meantime, he's going to have to trade out quite heavily to do so. And he doesn't really have a lot over here to defend the next wave of aggression. You know, this is kind of the hardest thing to see. Because you don't know if they're going to be able to end it here. The Disruptors sending their shots out. One of them will go off. Doesn't really get too much. The problem is the rest of Cure's army is still so far back. It's not able to kind of capitalize on the fact that all of ZOUN's supply is over here. Like, it's over here, so it's not over here. So now ZOUN going to go once again for that last-ditch effort. I feel like this is the fourth last-ditch effort that he's had. Shield battery going to keep those stalkers alive for as long as possible. And he will be able to clean that up. SCV's being pulled just for a little bit of extra damage. Honestly, at this point, if you're Cure, maybe just pull the boys and say, I'm bringing everything. I'm just going to kill you. I am ahead in supply. You might have called it too soon. You know what? That is absolutely true. If ZOUN comes back from this, I'm going to be absolutely upset for calling it too much. But Cure, his production is just so good right now. He is on that critical mass. Oh, those stalkers, they are just barely out of range. They do have Blink, gets half a medevac. And Cure will have to kind of be careful. I don't know if that was actually the best move going into the main base like that. It was a very risky maneuver. But the Stalker's just not really able to trade out super effectively against this. The Zealot's trying to warp in, but they're not really doing too much. The Zealot, the couple of DTs coming in, get a couple of SCVs. But again, just kind of take a look at it. You know, ZOUN is having a lot of trouble dealing with this drop. And now the main army once again coming in. ZOUN has been around 100 supply this entire time. He still has that 4th base, but it's not really mining super efficiently. Cure, though, he's cut worker production at 57 almost. And as I say that, never mind, he's got 3 more on the way. The Disruptors coming in. One of them does get their shot off. You know what? Cure's biggest problem, he's not fighting with his whole army. Just took a big disruptor shot there. Right now, it looks like. What is this game? I feel like I'm watching North America. Just super scrappy. Super all over the place. Small skirmishes everywhere. But I feel like in this instance, it's okay to just hit F2 and go for the big A move. He's going to crush through the economy. Cure gets the tap out finally.